I don't believe so.
Okay, well, I can email this to you because there is a lot of data in this one, and we have limited it, and I know the principals will get after me if I take more time than they take, so I'll run through it so you can go on to the next one. The next slide just basically will break down exactly what goes into our assessment data this year. For elementary, middle, and high school, we're looking at achievement gap and growth at the elementary. We add on college and career readiness, and Mr. Haney will be discussing that as well in his report. And then at the high school, our graduation rate is also included. So this page, you can reflect back to this as you're looking through their data. We get an overall score, schools and districts. We are also given a percentile rank, and then based on that classification, if you fall into the 70th percentile, and in fact our high school does, and he'll be going over that, then you are classified a proficient school, and we're very proud of that this year. I'm not going to steal any thunder though. Here's a quick summary of our overall district scores. You can see from the previous year, then we had an annual measurable objective, our goal for the year. Then our 13 score, what we scored this past year. We were then given a percentile rank that was locked in from the previous year. They set percentiles, so those were locked in. The yes or no, whether our schools and district met our objective. And you'll see we have one no. That was from Moorfield Middle School, and they did not meet their goal. Their goal was 55.3, and they actually made 55.2.
But their score was high last year.
Yes, yes. And they only missed their goal by 1/10 of a point.
Yeah, that's misleading.
Right, exactly. So I wanted to point that out to you as well. And so you can see there, also I want to point out at the district, you'll notice we are a high progressing district. That means that we were in the top 10% of gains in the entire state. So that's how we got that classification. And then the focus school and the priority school, you'll see those were already locked in as a classification from 3 years ago. And then, again, as they're going through their reports, Mr. Fletcher will identify his proficiency at the high school. Then the next page breaks down those columns or buckets that we've referred to by achievement, gap, growth, college and career readiness, graduation rate, and then that overall score where we get our classification. And you can see there, those are our percent proficient and distinguished students. We get 1 point for each of those students. We also get a bonus point if we have more distinguished students than we do novice students. So those would be figured in there as well. And again, you can reflect back on that. I'll email it to you. You can reflect back from the 2012 data to this data to see those actual growths. Go ahead to the next slide. The next slide shows the novice, apprentice, proficient, and distinguished total achievement. And again, there you can see the growth from 2012 to 2013 for each school in each of the content areas: reading, math, science, social studies, writing, and language mechanics. The gap group, that's the non-duplicated gap group. Each of those students represent a minority or free and reduced students, low socioeconomic group, or special education. And non-duplicated means that they're only counted one time into this population. And so there's those scores again from 2012 to 2013. You can see most of those had great growth. Okay. And then we also get a growth index, and that compares the same students to their peers, and that's the hardest one. We've wrapped our heads around it, wrapped our heads around this model. But the growth actually means if you have a child that scored, for example, at the 60th percentile, he then, next year when he takes the test, he's compared to all the kids in the state that scored at the 60th percentile. If they are in the top 40th percentile of that population, then they receive growth points. And so we had some great gains last year. Very proud of the growth that our students have achieved. Then college and career readiness, that's based on Explore, Plan, and ACT. And so that's only given there at the middle schools and the high school. And again, you can see the growth and gains that we've had there. and their graduation rate. Our graduation rate's a little tricky this year as well. We have the AFGR and the cohort model. The AFGR was always data that lagged a year behind, and that's because it took the membership versus the membership of their 9th and 10th grade, how many students we had in 9th and 10th grade, divided that by 2, and then how many actually got a diploma within 4 years. So they wanted to transfer over to a current data model, which is called the cohort data. So this particular year, we have both of sets of data that were configured into our overall score. And with the cohort model, that takes in account, we started tracking those kids when they came as freshmen. We add in every transfer student. We take out every student that leaves, every student that moves to another state or country or whatever. And then we base that on how many of the kids that we truly have get a diploma in 4 years. And you can see what an impact that has when we're using the current data. So we were really excited about that. Okay. And then this one is something that I think as a board you all like to see. Where does everybody compare? Where do we compare to everyone else? And you can see there again, I put in, someone was looking at it earlier and they said, why'd you put in Carter and Greenup County? But those are also PLA districts or priority districts. And so that's just some good information to see. You can see right there that we're above a lot of the schools in our district or a lot of other districts that are in our region. And you can go ahead. Again, high schools, we're right up there with several of them, only a few points behind others. And you can see we have several of those high schools in our area that are focus schools. And our middle schools, again, you can see how close our middle school scored together to be 2 separate buildings. Now they're one, and again, you can see how closely they scored. And again, where they fit in our region, as well as our elementaries. And I know, again, this is a lot of data. Anytime you want to sit down at a working session, I don't care a bit, and I will email you this so that it's something that you can digest, but I don't want to take away from them, unless you have questions for me. A lot of information in there.
Thank you. Amen. Amen.
No song. No song. Yes. Eden.
Our next school is Miss Preston Elementary School. Is it different?
No,
Is it different than what's up there?
Did you?
Yeah, just all on one flash.
Okay. One page, 2 pages that you put. First of all, I want to thank the board for allowing us to do this, and thank everybody that's here tonight to hear what we have to say. Eden, if you look up there, it says Eden, no match for the Wildcats, and we were proud to say that it was no match for the Wildcats because we met our goal, and we were very proud of that. Our teachers, our instructional assistants, our bus drivers, our cooks, our janitors, everybody gets credit for this because everybody worked very, very hard to make sure that Eden was a success. So, if you look at the first slide there, this is what Lisa was talking about, Ms. Perk was talking about, the growth, and I'll read from mine because I really can't see that up there. So, the growth part, area of measurement that we had, in our growth part for Eden, it was worth 40%. We had 61.0 points there for a weighted score of 24.4. Our achievement was worth 30%, and we had 63.4 points there for a weighted score of 19.0. And our gap, which was worth 30%, this is the areas that Ms. Kirk was talking about. The growth is 40%, the achievement's 30%, and the gap is 30%. Our gap was 39.8 points for a weighted score of 11.9 total. which gave us a 55.3 overall. We had to have a 47.2, and we had a 55.3. So we did meet our annual measurement, our goals. The next one is showing you a 2012 comparison and a 2013 and our increase. In reading, we were a 53.7 in 2012, and we went to a 55.7 for an increase of a 2.0. In math, we were 42.6, and we went in 2013 51.2 for an 8.6 increase. In science, we were 83.3 in 2012. 2013, we were 85.3 for an increase of 2.0. Social studies, 62.7. We went to 68.9 for a growth of 6.2 increase. Writing was 47.8, and we went to 56.0 for an increase of 8.2. Language mechanics, we were 50.0. We went to 55.9 for a 5.9 increase. So you can see we went up in all areas. Reading and science was just a 2-point, but we were already up there. So that's why they were a little bit lower, but the others was a great
What do you
increase.
think was such a great increase in the math? What y'all do?
If you remember last year when we were here, I had appealed to you for us to math interventionist, and it paid off. That's why we had a great increase there.
Of course, you got the other large increase in writing. The largest, of course, you got a great increase in form.
We use something called the Foursquare Organizer, and that's up with the very proud of the increase all across the board. The next one shows our annual measurement objective, which is our AMO. We were 47.2 in 2012, and we had to go to a 48.2. Our increase was up to 55.3 for an 8.1 increase. Very proud of that. Our classification in 2012 was needs improvement. In 2013, needs improvement progressing. So we are making progress there. We met and exceeded our AMO by 7.1 points. Our percentile rate in 2012 for 15%, in 2013, 40% for an increase of 25%. Our combined reading and math for 2012 was 49.6. 2013, it's 61.0 for an increase of 11.4%. I'm very proud of our increases there. We are addressing our gap. We looked at that intensively, and 80% of our students, accountable students, were identified as belonging into the gap group. Writing, mathematics, and reading will be the target subjects for the gap group. Our writing was 21.3%, mathematics 27.4%, reading 34.8%. Our projections for 2013-14 looks about the same amount of numbers and percentage for the gap group. I'm going to concentrate on that gap group by trying to lower the number of novice and apprentice scores and increase our number of percent of proficiency and distinguished for 2013. The next couple of slides just show you where we were in 2000, the percentages, and you can see the third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade across the board there where we're at. The third grade is 23.7, novice, apprentice 40.7, proficient 25.4, and distinguished 10.2. And as you go across there, you can see that we are increasing, but we do need to bring up our number of proficient and distinguished there. As Lisa was talking about, you lose points for the distinguished when your novice overrides those. The next one is in math, and it shows the same thing. I'm not going to go over each one of those points. I just did a few moments ago, but we do need to make sure that we have our novice reduced so that we can bring up our distinguished and gain the points there. The next slide showing a comparison. You can see that we did go up in every subject for 2013. Our achievements there, 85.3 in science is an area of achievement. Our math increased 8.6 points. Our overall increase of 8.1 to meet our AMO, and in our writing increase. These are areas of achievement that we need to celebrate when we plan our celebration. Our next steps, reduce our novice and apprentice students through direct instruction for all students. Target our students for differentiation instruction in reading and math by working in our structured and focused small groups. This is where our blue zone comes in that we stole from Mr. Fletcher from his red zone. Assess all students and analyze our data to develop specific instruction for individual students through continuous and ongoing monitoring of data, and target our gap group of free and reduced and our disabilities. And the last one is just the same thing, that Martin County's whole goal is to make sure every student is proficient and prepared for success, and I think we're going to do that with our board and Mr. Meadows. I think we're going to have a problem along those lines. If you look at the page that I gave you on, this is just an analysis that we did, and we went through looking at each area. We had the largest gain of any elementary school in the district, second to any school, with Sheldon Clark being the school there with the highest. And as you go down through there, I'm not going to read all of these things for you, but you can see where we have did our analysis. We had a lower percent of novice students as compared to the Martin County School District in reading, math, writing, and writing as compared to the state as well. In language mechanics, a higher percent of proficient students' performance as compared to the school district in science, and this was also compared to the state. Social studies, language mechanics, and again, like I said, I'm not going to read all of this. You can see this going down through there. Our next steps is doing an analysis of individual student scores and looking at our teaching delivery models to meet every student in differentiation. And then we're going to target writing and mathematics and reading. And I went ahead on the next page and gave you our Eden's improvement plan. And the board can see on down through there some of the things I've already talked about in addressing that, and also looking at our professional development and our family and community involvement. So, again, like I said, I'm not going to take any more time and read all of that off for there, but I thank the board and Mr. Meadows for allowing me to come, and thank everyone for listening.
Yes. Mark it.
I almost messed up on your letter, you know that? Because you had go Indians at the bottom.
You want to switch it to Red Devils?
I changed it. I changed it to Red Devils. I said,